Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about very, very important things, specifically around the current economic outlook, as well as what's happening around crypto and things happening around technology as well. First off, I do want to start off with this video here from a central banker, aka the BIS chief, Augustin Carstens. You guys are probably all aware of him. I did include a quote from him in yesterday's XRP video, but today I do want to address a few things around these central bankers and why they are so adamant on telling you that, listen, technology is not going to succeed, crypto is not going to succeed, this, that, whatever, because their entire lifeline is on the line when it comes to crypto succeeding. If crypto succeeds, we take power away from these centralized entities, aka the central banks. Now, also, before I fully jump on into this video, let me know how you guys are doing down in the comments below, how your day's going, how your night's going, whatever. And also hit that like button if you guys haven't already. And for those that are not subscribed to the channel, by the end of this video, if you guys did find the content interesting, maybe you learned something new, definitely hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on to never miss a future update. But let's listen in to the head of the Bank for International Settlements. And we do see technology can't win over traditional legal historical infrastructures. Okay, mate, not sure where you've been in the past couple of decades, but well, and listen closely to this.
A few years ago, crypto assets and cryptocurrencies were in a way put as an alternative to fiat money. I think that battle has been won. Technology doesn't make for trusted money. Only the legal historical infrastructure behind central banks give credibility. So it has now become an alternative or an activity, a financial activity that could exist under certain conditions.
So yeah, I personally love to see the idea that central banks give credibility. I also love to see the quote here where he was talking about technology doesn't make for trusted money. So how are central banks? How are they trusted entities, and how do they have any credibility around sound money? I mean, was he around for 2008, which was essentially caused by central banks not being transparent? I mean, it's comical. It really is comical. But yeah, this is what we see. And the reason why is because these central banks, these major bankers are in panic mode. They're terrified of what's happening. And we do see over here from Cameron Winklevoss. So as we look at what's happening around banks, around finance, things like that, we do see here, my working thesis at the moment is the next bull run is going to start in the East. It will be a humbling reminder that crypto is a global asset class and that the West, really the US, always only ever had two options: embrace it or be left behind. It can't be stopped. That we know. Any government that doesn't offer clear rules and sincere guidance will be left in the dust quickly. This will mean missing out on the greatest period of growth since the rise of the commercial internet. And it will mean missing out on shaping and being a foundational part of the future financial infrastructure of this world and beyond. Now listen, I do not agree with the Winklevoss twins on many things, but this is one of them. I do believe that this is happening quickly. In fact, I said it in yesterday's video as well, and I will say it again. The race is on. The race is on to adopt this technology and utilize this technology, because guess what? They will be left behind. These central bankers, they are in panic mode. They don't want to utilize this technology because they give up control. They want to control the monetary system like they have done for decades and decades before. Now, also, talking about the US, let's take a quick look at the overall economic outlook. Now, I do believe that there is a bull run that will happen. I do think that we are going to see a major rise in risk on assets, which I will talk about why in a second. But we do see here from Kim.com, New Zealand is facing dark times. Today, the new Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, spoke in Parliament about the global pandemic of inflation in light of having to raise more debt to deal with the damage caused by extreme weather events. Here's what Kiwis need to know. Here we have The global pandemic of inflation is the result of endless money printing by the U.S. government, abusing the U.S. dollar status as a global reserve currency. Trillions of new dollars are created every year on the backs of nations which trade and hold reserves in U.S. dollar. It's simply theft. Western countries have followed the U.S. model of quantitative easing and endless debt accumulation by creating money out of thin air. This house of cards has been crumbling for a long time and will soon crash the world economy. Unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. It's bad. The cost of living crisis that people are now experiencing is just the beginning. Things won't get back to normal until the old financial system collapses and a new system emerges, which we are seeing right now. That new system will link money to real-world assets, not thin air. It won't be run by the U.S. government. Nope. Inflation will turn into hyperinflation, recession will turn into depression, and Western prosperity based on debt is coming to an end. The effects of this will be severe. Also for New Zealand, we are facing an unprecedented collapse of life as we know it. But what can be done? The New Zealand government must not be late to act. The sooner Kiwis understand what's coming, the better. Start to plan for the biggest financial crisis in history. Don't be in denial. Let's get New Zealand ready to deal with inevitable changes. We could do this if we get ready soon. Now, of course, he was just talking mainly about New Zealand here and supporting them as he is living in New Zealand. But what I do want to mention is the fact that, yes, we are seeing a collapse of the old system. In fact, I do believe that this is all by plan. I've talked about this many times on this channel. The new system is rising. We have talked about this many times in the past, but the U.S. So the U.S. is in a very tight situation. There is this post from foreignpolicy.com, and it says China is quietly trying to dethrone the dollar. This got posted by S.I. Canthan, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, over on Twitter. And we do see the U.S. dollar is facing a death by 1,000 cuts. Countries are trading more in local currencies. China is encouraging cross-border trade in yuan/RMB. Russia and China have their own financial system like SWIFT, BRICS, and SCO leading this trend. Last year, China's trade was $7 trillion, of which $1 worth of trade was carried out in Chinese yuan. Countries and companies around the world are buying and selling goods in yuan. The big move will be when OPEC members start selling oil in yuan. Xi Jinping's visit to Saudi Arabia and the first China-Arab summit laid the foundation for the petro-yuan deal. And yes, we've been talking about the petro-yuan deal for a while now. And also, by the way, he did mean $1 trillion here, not just $1. I figured I would mention that as well, as I didn't catch it while I was reading. But yes, we've been talking about Saudi Arabia as they are the biggest catalyst for the downfall of the U.S. dollar in valuation because, again, the overall deal that they have around the petrodollar is the only thing really kind of holding things together around the U.S. dollar's value. Once we see them go on board with China, it's game over. And Xi Jinping's idea around this has always been to move away from the US dollar and really kind of stop utilizing it. We're already kind of starting to see that around the world within a lot of countries. But one thing that I've also mentioned is debt. So we actually do see here from Gold Telegraph, breaking news, developing countries' stockpile of debt hit a new record high last year. Many are now dealing with significant debt issues. The dollar soared against most emerging market and advanced economy currencies over the course of 2022, raising the cost of meeting existing debt obligations. And here you guys have the full-on source down here from ft.com. But also, with this combined, we also continue to see major central banks moving away from the U.S. dollar as well. So we do see here breaking news. Iraq central bank says it plans to allow trade from China to be settled directly in yuan for the first time. This is becoming a common theme. It is important it's the first time imports would be financed from China in yuan, as Iraqi imports from China have been financed in U.S. dollars only. Now, going back to this debt equation here, the reason why I included this is because as these major nations move away from the U.S. dollar, as these major entities start to do transaction processes without the U.S. dollar involved in general, we're going to start to see a debt collapse. In fact, a lot of this, what we are seeing is a debt default, a global debt default. Once we see that, it's basically game over. we continue to move forward on with this new system. The old system as we know it is basically finished. We've talked about this many times as we kind of addressed CBDCs, stable coins, things like that, which by the way, yes, they are 100% on their way. But as we look at debt and as we look at a lot of these nations, we can see that the current monetary system is failing, which will lead us to a significant area of interest, which is going to be pretty much risk on assets going parabolic, which I will talk about here in a second. But first, I also want to quote this tweet here as well from Putin and his idea around the US dollar. So mainly, a lot of what we are seeing overseas is caused by sanctions that we put on Russia initially on. And here we have Putin takes aim at the US dollar. Russia will continue to work with partners to make system of international settlement independent of the dollar and other Western currencies. Dollar will lose its universal role. So yeah, we're basically seeing that. There is a big issue right now around SWIFT and the US dollar. They're both collapsing with each other because, again, the US dollar and SWIFT are pretty much tied together. SWIFT is dominated by the US dollar. So once we see the US dollar fall, we will also see SWIFT fall. So what do we need to see next? Well, we need a payment network that could handle all trades and also settle any two currencies. Atomic settlement is key here. Now, could it be RippleNet? 100%. Could it be dominated by XRP? 100%. XRP is a perfect example of a decentralized currency that any nation will gladly utilize for trade, for transactions, for cross-border transactions, because again, it's not controlled by any entity. That's why I've always said that these decentralized currencies are a big game changer. Now, as we look at this, right, we look at the fall of our current financial system. What will this cause? Well, here we have from Robert Kiyosaki, we do see giant crash is coming, depression possible, Fed forced to print billions in fake money. By 2025, gold at 5,000, silver at 500, and Bitcoin at $500,000. Why? Because faith in the US dollar fake money will be destroyed. Gold and silver, God's money. Bitcoin, people's money. Take care. So, yeah. Again, do I think that we're going to see these valuations? Not exactly. But I do think that gold, silver, and crypto is going to increase significantly in value and demand. Why? Well, when we start to see the dollar fall, which if we actually go over real quick to the DXY, we have noticed that this has been in a significant downfall lately. By the way, the reason why crypto is falling right now in terms of value is because of the US dollar and what the US dollar has been doing in the last 3 days, which by the way, we are at significant resistance. We're probably going to come up to test this 105 zone. If we break this area here, I will be concerned, but for the most part, I am not concerned at all. I do believe that the US dollar is going to hit this area up here and will continue to repeat this pattern, which we could possibly come all the way back down to this area of demand, which is also the low of December 2020. Now, again, very similar to what we've seen back in March 2020. Let me go back to March of 2020. Here we have March of 2020. So back in March of 2020, we did see a nice increase in value for the dollar. We're actually already kind of seeing that right now off of this low that we've seen back in January. We are starting to see a significant bounce here. Now, could we see this significant bounce repeat like we've seen back in March of 2020? 100%. But what we're mainly looking at is a downfall of the US dollar. Macro, the US dollar is basically going to be finished, which is going to allow for the new system to rise, which we've talked about quite a bit. The thing is that when the US dollar is falling, risk on asset classes, people look for things to invest their money into to remain holding their value. They don't want to lose the value of their currency. The dollar right now, with inflation, if you have large sums of money in your bank, it is losing value every single day. So, what are you looking at? What are you going to do with your US dollars? Well, you're going to park it into an asset that can remain valuable, that's going to hold its value. Now, most people are going to say, well, Bitcoin's going to be the choice. Crypto's going to be, it's going to be all of crypto, if anything, if they do invest into crypto. But we're also going to be looking at gold and silver. I think that gold and silver should 100% be in your portfolio if you don't have it already. And I mean physical, not digital. But also, risk on assets. So, what I've mainly looked at, and I've compared it many times in the past, so let's go over here real quick to the total. The reason why I believe that crypto is going to go parabolic if the US dollar continues to fall is simply because when we go back in time, I do have this chart's going to be a little bit messy. Let me go back to the 1 week on this just to kind of look at a few things. So let me clean it up. So here we have March of 2020. So this is the total crypto market cap. And you could see going back on the US dollar here. So here is where the US dollar topped out. It is also where the total for crypto bottomed out. After that, we do see the entire crypto market going on a major run. We topped out after doing a 2,693% run up. Now, granted, we topped after the US dollar started to regain momentum. In fact, when we broke out of the 200 weekly EMA, that is when we topped out for crypto, as you do see the breakout here, and you do see the downfall here. This is significant because guess what? When we started to lose momentum and we lost the 200 weekly EMA, that is when crypto went parabolic. So, with that, what are we looking at? Well, we are waiting to see a loss of the 200 weekly EMA currently, which is 98.81. I do believe that we will lose it. And once we see that, we are going to see a significant breakout on the total. That breakout on the total is going to be a break of the 50 weekly EMA, this orange line here, which we're squeezed between the orange and the blue, aka the 200 and the 50. Once we see that, we could repeat this run up. And I said many times in the past that even from our current level, if we repeat that same 2,000% run up, which I doubt we do, if we go on like a massive run like that, that would be insane because it would be almost a $30 trillion market cap. But all I'm looking at is a possible 1,000%, or, you know, if we're going to just 10 trillion, it's almost going to be like an 869% run up. But anywhere between 5 trillion to 10 trillion is welcomed. But we'll probably head somewhere between 7 to 10 trillion with a possibility of us going to $12 trillion. But the reason why is because I'm expecting the US dollar to have a massive crash. I mean, from our current level that the US dollar is at, and if we do continue to gain momentum here, which on the weekly, it looks a little bit different than the 3-day, but losing just a 200 would be a loss of 5.77% on the US dollar. Going all the way back down to this demand zone would be a 14.29% correction. A total from the topping point here of 21.72%. Just to give you guys a quick insight on what caused that run up on crypto back there was a 13.29% correction on the US dollar, which resulted in it gaining value again. But what happens after this collapse, who knows, right? Because we are seeing a major shift towards digitization with payment rails built out on DLT technology, payment systems being revolutionized. We're seeing banks around the world, including well-known global brands, starting to issue out their own digital currencies known as commercial stablecoins. We also see central bank digital currencies rising. We are seeing the rise of the new financial system, and I want you all to realize that the old system is going to collapse. They are right now currently looking to collapse this old system. This has been their plan for a while. We are seeing the emergence of the new financial system. And this is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime. And I want everyone to make sure that we are paying attention to this right now. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.